Hello everyone, welcome to Namala Excellence Bangalore. So in today's CID series, that is the current affairs issues of the day, we are going to discuss again one of the most important expected topic for the coming year, that is 2024 UPSC Prelims examination. So the topic is on electric, that is the recently launched green hydrogen fuel cell bus in Delhi, which can be one of the expected question from your science and tech column for UPSC Prelims. So let's try to understand this concept. The concept is here is very important, so we will try to understand it. Then we will try to understand what are India's plans regarding green hydrogen also. So as I have said already, this India's first green hydrogen fuel cell bus has been recently launched in especially Delhi, and it is available for public transportation. So what is this concept of green hydrogen and then the fuel cell? Because this word green hydrogen fuel cell itself includes, actually there are two concepts which are involved. Let's try to understand that first, then we will go into the India's green hydrogen mission also. So let's break this concept into two, and let's try to understand what is first green hydrogen, what is fuel cell, how it operates, and how we generate energy from this. This is a basic thing where UPSC can they can come and test you, especially on the conceptual segment. So let's try to understand it bit very much clear here. Friends, you know very well, hydrogen gas itself is a colorless and waterless gas. Then why we use the name green? Because here we use electricity which is produced from renewable energy. We will come to that point later, but before that, here the concept behind green hydrogen is that we use it, it actually works on the basic principle of electrolysis. So let's first try to understand how this electrolysis functions, what is this basic principle of electrolysis, and then we will come to the concept of green hydrogen. So let's take for our discussion, let's assume cathode and anode you would have studied during your school level, that is cathode is a positively charged electrode, whereas anode is the negatively charged electrode. So we will try to now assume this, how this electrolysis principle actually works. Friends, the concept of electrolysis is very simple. Here what we do is, we will actually use electricity to break the water. That is, water will be present here. So, we will try to break this water component H2O. H2O, we will break it into hydrogen plus oxygen. And this hydrogen, we will use it to generate green hydrogen. That's a basic principle. Let's go step by step. So now to break this water molecule which is present here, we need to break it into hydrogen and oxygen. For that we require electricity, because the electrolysis principle, it works on the basic approach where with the help of when we supply electricity to the water molecule will split into hydrogen and oxygen. So, but one thing what we need to understand is, when you apply this electricity to a pure water, it will not conduct electricity, which we would have studied during your school level. But for this purpose, for this water to conduct electricity, generally we will add something called as salt. And the salt can be it can be sulfuric acid, or it can be sodium hydroxide. So any kind of salt can be used here, because once the salt is mixed in the water, that is when this water will actually conduct the electricity which we are supplying. And after the electricity is supplied, the water will break into hydrogen and oxygen. And once this hydrogen and oxygen is broken, it is formed, then what will happen here is, the hydrogen will appear at the anode, because hydrogen, it is a positively charged which will attract towards the anode, and oxygen, it is a negatively charged, and it will start appearing at the cathode, because O2 it is negative and it will get attracted towards the positively charged electrode which is cathode. So this is how in the first step process, using the electrolysis principle, we will break the water into hydrogen and oxygen, where hydrogen gets collected at the anode and oxygen gets collected at the cathode. Friends, this is the first level which we do to generate hydrogen, and this concept is called as green hydrogen. Why we call here this concept as this hydrogen? It is a odorless gas, but why we give a color coding to that? Because this green, it is why it is named as green, means the electricity which is supplied here, that is generally supplied from renewable energy. You know, renewable energy like solar energy, wind energy, it generates lot of electricity, and that electricity itself we can use it, and that can be supplied over this especially water molecule which contains a salt, and that will get broken into two components, hydrogen and oxygen molecule. This is the first stage which is involved in green hydrogen production. Now let's focus on the second component, that is the fuel cell. Now again let's try to draw from the place where this hydrogen has been attached to the anode. Now, the basic concept behind fuel cell is that fuel cell is a concept where we will try to convert the chemical energy which is stored in the cell, we will be trying to convert that into electric energy. This is the basic principle how a fuel cell operates. Now, here the hydrogen molecule will be getting attached as a result of that previous concept called green hydrogen. When it is generated, hydrogen got attracted towards the anode, which you can see here very clearly. Hydrogen got attached to the anode and oxygen got attached to the cathode. So from this process, next step will be followed, that is the fuel cell. In the fuel cell, the basic concept is here the hydrogen here it will get broken into two components. One is a positively charged protons and then negatively charged electrons. So it will get broken into two, but what is the thing which you need to understand here is there will be a in between this hydrogen and oxygen, that is between this cathode and anode, we use an electrolyte in case of fuel cell. With the help of this electrolyte only, we will convert the chemical energy into electrical energy, and this electrical energy only which can be used especially in the Delhi where we use this electric energy in the bus, and that can be used for transportation purposes. So before going into that, how that is converted into electric energy, which we need to understand, because till now it is a chemical where we use an electrolyte, and now what is the problem is the hydrogen when it splits up into positive proton and negative electron, only the positively charged the proton are allowed to, especially the hydrogen component which is positively charged only will be allowed to pass through the electrolyte component, which is generally a semi-permeable membrane which will not allow the electrons to pass through it. So electrons, what will happen is it will try to balance especially this fuel cell. So when it wants to balance it, one side if you see positively charged hydrogen components will go and will pass from one end anode to cathode, but this negatively charged electrons cannot pass through this permeable membrane, so semi-permeable membrane. Because of that, what will happen is that electrons will find an outlet where it can escape and it can reach the cathode, because it wants to balance the process. So to balance the process, electrons will be forced to move from upside, that is on this end to that side, that is from the anode to the cathode. The electrons will start moving through the another outlet without passing through the electrolyte. Once this happens, there will be a flow of electricity, and this is the process which we have discussed, that where fuel cell, where generally chemical energy will be converted into electrical energy. For that purpose, the movement of electrons is very essential, and how we are making the electrons to move, especially with the help of an electrolyte which has been placed in between the anode and cathode, this particular electrolyte will not allow the electrons to go through, so they are forced to move in a different manner where there will be flow of energy or flow of electrons from anode to cathode, and that will result in generation of electricity. I hope friends till now this concept is clear. So now we have discussed two things. One is the concept of green hydrogen. Why it's called green hydrogen? Because we use renewable energy. That electricity only, which is generated from solar and wind, will be used to split the water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen. And this hydrogen will get attached to the anode and oxygen will attach to the cathode. Next comes is the concept called fuel cell. In fuel cell, what we do, we will use the same hydrogen and oxygen which is available at anode and cathode. But what is happen is that the hydrogen positively charged proton of the hydrogen molecule will be allowed to pass through the semi-permeable membrane, especially the electrolyte. But the electrons will not be allowed to move, so it will move in the other way, generating the electricity. So this is how, in case of Delhi where we launched this, India's first, that is green hydrogen fuel cell bus has been now implemented in Delhi for public transportation. And beyond that, India has many advantages over this green hydrogen fuel cell. So what are some of the positives? Many scientists are saying is that one of the major benefit of using this green hydrogen fuel cell is that it will only lead to zero emissions, or it will lead to no emissions. So what do you mean by zero emissions is that when a water during this process of generating electricity, that is using green hydrogen fuel cell, the emission which is coming, if you see here friends, that is the hydrogen when it moves, the hydrogen positively charged hydrogen proton when it moves through the semi-permeable membrane, on the other side oxygen molecules are present. So here what will happen is this HNO2 again it will, they will form a chemical reaction and this will only release water or water vapor. So water will be released, along with that even heat is released. Only these are the two emissions which will be coming from this fuel cell, that is the green hydrogen fuel cell. That is why we say that this process is called zero emission process, because the exhaust which is coming, if you see in a conventional combustion machine, it will be releasing lot of carbon dioxide. But here the emission contains only two components. One is water, which is in gaseous form, and another is heat, and both of them will not cause any harm to the environment. That is why we say this is one of the most useful clean energy which India can rely on, and India will be majorly benefited by this green hydrogen fuel cell concept. Second, what they are saying is that especially the charge, the refueling capacity, even when in Delhi when we are launching this green hydrogen fuel cell, it has very good advantage compared to a conventional bus, because when we use a normal, in a electric vehicle, when you use a normal battery which is used for generating that electric power, the battery can drain out. But what is a major advantage scientists are saying in case of green hydrogen fuel cell concept is that here the battery will not drain out. The battery won't drain out. The reason being very simple, because there will be a constant generation of electricity which will be generated using the, especially the fuel cell concept, where continuously the hydrogen molecules will be attached at the anode and oxygen will be attached at the cathode, and there will be a free transfer of electrons from anode to cathode, which will result in always a constant supply of electricity. So constant hence, many scientists are saying that this is going to be a game changer for India. Why game changer? Because India has already committed at the UNFCCC a concept called as, that is the net zero emission or carbon neutrality concept. This we have already discussed in the previous CID series. Friends, those of you missed our previous CID series on UN Climate Ambition Summit, kindly watch that. There we have discussed much detail about the concept of net zero emission or carbon neutrality, because in this concept India wants to achieve this net zero emission by 2070. And to achieve this, we need to cut down the requirement of our electricity which is produced from fossil fuels. So as an alternative, now India is heavily dependent upon renewable energy, which will not itself be sufficient. So for that process, scientists are saying this green hydrogen fuel cell is going to be a game changer for India, because here the electricity which is generated, it is going to not pollute the environment, and again it is going to be a continuous supply of electricity. So this will be a game changer, scientists are saying. In addition to that, but this the concept of green hydrogen fuel cell also has some challenges or problems. The major challenge which scientists are saying, especially is with respect to the cost, because the cost of investment which is required to set up a green hydrogen fuel cell plant or green hydrogen plant is going to be costly, which requires a very huge investment. Currently, if you see in India, how we can think, their scientists are thinking that how we can reduce the cost, because as of now the cost is very high. To reduce it, lot of R&D, that is research is going on, and we can expect very soon that the cost of this investment which is required for setting up a green hydrogen plant can be cut down very easily after the research which is happening in India. So these are some of the basic concepts and advantages and problems we have when we go for adopting the green hydrogen fuel cell. But what is India's plan? India, if you see, it's already having something called as green hydrogen mission. And this green hydrogen mission is implemented by the Ministry of Renewable Energy, which is going to be very important, and this can be asked in the preliminary examination. So kindly remember, friends. In addition to that, in case of green hydrogen mission, we have set up some objectives or aims we have. That is, we have planned to generate 5 million metric tons of green hydrogen in India by the year 2030. In addition to that, we have also planned to generate at least 125 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030. So to achieve this target of 125 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030, we need to make use of this green hydrogen in a better manner, and that is why India is actually trying to play a very dominant role when it comes to producing the green energy, because it requires very huge investment. As I said already, what scientists are saying is that it requires at least 8 lakh crore investment. And this 8 lakh crore investment, if it is done, means in India it will generate at least 6 lakh jobs. So it is going to be a employment oriented scheme also. So it will benefit the Indians also in a better manner, and it will also try to reduce the impact of climatic change. And the third thing what scientists are planning is that, see, by producing our energy from clean energy or renewable energy, we can cut down our dependence on fossil fuels. That is, it will reduce our imports on fossil fuels. And what scientists are saying is that as per their preliminary assessment, it will at least, when we go for implementing this green hydrogen mission by 2030, it will at least reduce every year annually 1 lakh crore savings. So this is going to be a very huge saving, because this money we can use it for investing in producing the clean energy, because that will generate additionally jobs also. As of now, since we are paying the import bill, as you know very well, India's current account deficit is majorly impacted by the import of these fossil fuels, and these fossil fuels, once it is cut down, means we can use that money which we have saved for investing in the green hydrogen production in India. So thereby what India is planning is that now India is a net importer of fossil fuels. So with the help of green hydrogen, India wants to transfer its status to the net exporter of clean energy or clean hydrogen energy. So this is the status India is planning, and India has taken a very huge initiative when it comes to implementing the green hydrogen mission, and various countries are also competing and they have also taken a step. But when it comes to India, we have also introduced this concept for our public transportation, and even this green hydrogen can be used for material handling and backup fuel also it can be used. So we have various advantages of this green hydrogen fuel cell or green hydrogen mission what India is now planning. So I hope this concept is very much you could be able to understand, and I hope it is useful to you. So if you have any doubts over this topic, kindly give your comments. You can comment on the link below. In case if you want us to come up with any new topics where you feel it will be useful to you, we are always ready to do that. So kindly comment on that. Your feedback is much appreciated. Thank you, friends. Thanks for watching. Again, we will meet up tomorrow in a new CID series.